And welcome back to the Overwatch League. We are here with the last match of the day. It is time for the LA Valiant to go up against the Boston Uprising. And, yeah, I mean, on paper, this seems like this could be a bit of a one-sided series here, Wolf, but maybe Boston can have some surprises for us.
I hope so. You know, it's been a rough season for Boston. You know, perhaps even worse than last season so far, but I mean, there's no way to sugarcoat it. It's a tough time if you're a Boston fan. They've retooled their roster completely, brought in a lot of Korean prodigy, you know, type players like they normally do. You know, Jerry's looking good, but, you know, will they be able to bring the coordination to a higher level? I don't know. This is going to be a hard one for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Valiant, as of late, especially looking pretty damn good. They had their reverse sweep just in their last series. We were able to bring that one back. I believe it was versus the Rain as well. So
yeah, it was.
Yeah, like they are looking pretty good, but Valiant have also been using some interesting compositions, we'll say, that some people might not like, Gladiators, but others find enthralling, like myself. But they're not going to be able to run that this week because, you know, we're going to have several of those picks out of the meta. The Ashe is taken away. So we'll take a closer focus on that composition and what that might mean for the Valiant in our Xfinity Connections little segment here.
That's right. You know, in our Connections by Xfinity, we want to take a look at the fact that they were running a lot of Ashe. They were avoiding the Echo a lot of the time last week. With Ashe removed, you know, the question is, will we be seeing more Echo from LA Valiant, or are they going to try to run something completely different and, you know, kind of try to defy the meta again as they have in the past? And I think the answer to that is probably that we'll see them run a little bit of Echo, just like they did in that Rain series, but they're mostly going to be running the double shields. We'll be seeing a lot of May, a decent amount of McCree. Their roster has really solid DPS players that have insane flexibility as well. So we'll see Sombra for sure. We're going to see McCree, we're going to see May. And I think Echo is probably not going to be the focus of their composition going into this match today. But I know that they can play it, and, you know, it will come up at some point as we go deeper into these maps.
Yeah, I mean, KSP and Shax both looking quite good in Week 13. I mean, #1 in hero damage per 10 there for KSP. But, yeah, like you said, the question really is, are they going to play the Echo, or are they still going to try and play around it? They have shown, the Valiant, that they are not really bound by what everybody else is running as far as a meta is concerned. They're very much along the lines or akin to the Chengdu Hunters that we saw last year in the 2019 season, just kind of playing what they're good at and what they feel is the best rather than what everybody else is telling them. So maybe we'll see a change up. Obviously, we do have the McCree and the Widowmaker back into the meta. We saw a lot of McCree just in that last series from Linkser in particular, but with the Ashe gone, that is a blow to them historically for what they've been running in the last couple weeks. So I'm excited to see what these guys have prepared today. Yeah,
I am too. I mean, there's a lot of teams right now that are just doing their own thing. You know, Valiant comes to mind, Dallas comes to mind, Chengdu sometimes comes to mind, depends on their flavor of the week. But I do appreciate that when teams decide to do something that's completely different than like the mini weekly meta that comes up based around the hero pools. So this is one of those matches, though, that Valiant won't be pushed, I think, to the brink like they were versus Atlanta Rain, to where they have to show those types of strategies. They might just keep it vanilla and standard because this Boston matchup should be, for them, one that they're looking at as one of the easier ones in the coming weeks.
Yep. Well, that is our Connections segment presented by Xfinity. Now let's go ahead and dive in and take a look at what we have from the Valiant as far as their starting 6 is concerned. And we will, of course, have Shax and KSP. No surprises there with Dreamer and McGravy, Lastro, and Rain.
Dreamer's been making waves since his debut in the Overwatch League. I really appreciate a lot of his Reinhardt play. Obviously, we're going to have to see a little bit more depth from him going into this match with Reinhardt unavailable for pro play this week. So see how his Winston does when the Shax Sombra comes through, when we see the Orisa with the double shields, McGravy on that Sigma. You know, that's the kind of questions we'll have answered in this series, is how great he is, or is he great at those other heroes. We've seen him play it before, but it's been mostly a Reinhardt focus thus far.
Yeah, it really has been. On the other side of the coin, though, we of course do have the Boston Uprising with Jerry and Color Hex for the DPS duo, Fusions and Brisson, then Halo and Myunbong to round things out as supports. And, you know, it's, again, we bring it up, synergy just has been very much lacking for the Boston Uprising. Seems like this is a team that more often than not is getting lost in a fight rather than taking hold of it.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way to put it. The DPS players are really strong. Jerry and Color Hex, obviously very talented players. I feel like Halo has slotted into this roster, you know, in tough circumstances pretty well, especially on Brigitte. He's had a lot of great plays. Unfortunately, won't be making those plays this week, but I think he's slotted into the roster really well. It's surprising that it's Fusions actually oftentimes that seems lost, and in the past, you know, he's been a leader for this team. He's been the one making those charges happen, making those really good calls. And I don't know if it's the addition of more Korean players or the fact that it's a new roster and maybe he doesn't have as much hold over it. And I don't want to blame him because I'm not in comms, I'm not in there, but it doesn't feel like he's at the helm as much as it was, you know, last year in particular.
Yeah, it feels like a little bit of a disconnect for sure. I would agree with you. From, like you said, he was a very strong leader in the 2019 season, so things have just definitely been shaken up for the Boston Uprising. Let's see how they fare this week and today against our opponents, the Valiant, as we take a look at our map set. We will yet again be starting things off on Oasis for Control. Then we'll move into Junkertown for Escort, King's Row for Hybrid, and then if we can go beyond the first 3 maps, we will have Volskaya, Nepal, Lijiang, etc., to potentially round things out. But I don't think that Boston are going to be looking to find themselves in yet another 7-map series.
Hoping not to, but, you know, if that's what it takes to get that second win on the board.
That's true. Win is a win.
That's what it takes. Yeah, 1 and 9.
Win is a win. So, you know, if you got to go to 7 to get it, then you're going to go to 7 to get it.
Yep. 1 and 9 currently this season. A season of adversity and challenges for all teams. You know, we've seen retirements, we've seen rosters completely changed and retuned. We've seen, you know, teams having to play at home, playing at different training facilities they're used to, not playing in an arena. Time to adapt. And, you know, I feel like Los Angeles Valiant's one of the better examples of an adaptation throughout a tough season. They come in as big favorites, and they are going to start things off with Tracer Echo here.
Yep.
Kind of a riskier starting point to go with on that, but they have McGravy on this Zarya, so it almost functions as a Brigitte in terms of giving that extra survivability to the Echo.
But they do have to be prepared for Jerry with the McCree. This has been his biggest pick thus far, so they fully well should expect him to be on that McCree. They still run the Echo. We'll see how it fares. Flashbang coming through already. Dreamer going to get picked off. Jerry finds that kill, but Shax gets in on top of him, knowing that that Flashbang was down. Does manage to find the kill. Color Hex with the right click will finish off McGravy, and it is just going to be a bloody battle back and forth with Boston locking down the point first.
And they didn't have to use Coalescence, and that's actually huge. Usually oh, that's a nice pick. Usually the Moira pick actually gives you that one big advantage in the neutral fight where you get that extra burst of heal and damage very quickly. But because they get to hold it, they get to control the choke. McGravy's going to have to start over from 0 in terms of building that energy up for the Zarya. He did a lot of damage, so he's getting closer to a grab, and if the fight goes long, he'll get it. But this is a great place to be if you're the Uprising, because you can probably get a Blizzard in that longer fight.
You can see they're taking the fight straight to the Valiant's doorstep. KSP going to be using that duplicate on to Brisson, takes the Sigma away, but Myunbong already finds a kill with the Coalescence, and you can see instantly it's just a bit of a pullback coming through from the side
Flux,
of the Valiant. They do manage to find the Flux, get the slam down here onto Brisson, taking him low as he starts in and out behind that Orisa barrier. Sticky bombs from KSP will take down Fusions. Grab now coming out from McGravy, gets them all nice and put together for the Big Bang combo. Shax comes up with 2, finds the 3rd on the back end of the fight as Brisson will fall, and that is going to be the Valiant flipping the point into their favor. 57% established for Uprising.
All I could think when everyone was low after the Flux was if Shax were here, if he had not been killed by that Coalescence, he would clean up house. He'd have a 4K. He comes back as the hero as the grab comes through, and unfortunately Color X as well is just not enough to stop the Pulse Bomb from sneaking through and getting that 2K. Really nice reaction by Color Hex. It's just not good enough. He still has the Blizzard, though, for this potential retake. And he's going to go ahead and approach this point.
Dreamer taking a bit of a beating here, does have that primal rage to fall back on. And speaking of that Blizzard, we will not be able to see it here in this fight as Color Hex gets picked off Rain, managing to find that kill. Now the push forward as they look for the finishing blows. They'll be able to find a couple additional kills, but more importantly, they hold on to the point. 6 ultimates nearly online, however, for Boston.
Rain, you know, shooting that dunk into the middle of the map there as well, so kind of cutting the team in half. Gets to hold onto his sound barrier. The Valiant in a really good position to, you know, with this longer fight with the delay they're going to try to push to 99 with. They're going to get that energy up from McGravy. He's going to get another grab. They've got so many tools, and that Blizzard on the attack is so much harder to pull off.
Coalescence is out. Halo going to be dropping the beat. The pulse bomb from Shaq's not going to be able to find anything. Just gets rid of a little bit of that shielding. Deadeye is out from Jerry. Looking to zone them back off the point. The jump in comes through and he instantly gets flattened like a pancake by Dreamer. Color Hex again picked off. Will this man ever get to use this Blizzard? Tune in next week to find out. 80% now on the board here. KSP is duplicating the enemy. Reset does have that supercharger online. We'll drop it, but it's going to expire. It's a little bit of extra time with it, but cleanup is there. And
they can just nano McGravy. He's got 90 energy. He could just grab them off the point and prevent them from touching. They're going to try to make sure Brucein can't touch.
What happens here? Brucein has since swapped over onto the D.Va to try to get the eat, but the grab will come through. They make their way over onto the point. Jerry going to be picked off. McGravy, full energy, burning him down. Color Hex tries to dump the Blizzard, and then it doesn't go off. He gets killed by Rain. What a tragedy coming through for the Boston Uprising with that single ult usage. The swap over onto the Tracer from Color Hex to try and buy some time, but he cannot make it over onto the point, so 157% will be the first round of University going the way of the Valiant.
Yep. Boston had a really great start, and you know, they got to keep the Coalescence. They took a really nice fight. That second fight they had where they engaged early, picked off Shax. But after the grab came through and Shax, you know, basically thread the needle with that pulse and got a double K, Boston weren't out of it yet, but they started to fall apart there. And Color X's inability to close the gap, get onto the point, the space being bought for him by Fusions and Brucein wasn't coordinated well enough to get him into the place to use a Blizzard where he needed to. You pointed it out, I mean, 2 fights back to back, he's unable to use it. Then on the 3rd fight, he dies in animation and is unable to get that off. And the Valiant just knew that was one of their biggest tools, shut him down big time. It was a good start for the Uprising, but you know, they just couldn't nail the landing there despite having multiple advantages.
Yeah. They got into the air and then could not get back down safely.
This is not how you want to use a jump pad, by the way.
No, it is not. Use the jump pad, instantly get a ton of damage pushed forward onto you. Jerry finds a very nice kill, however, onto Shax. They lose out on Myungbong. Rain has been fragging so far in this series. Comes up with that kill, but with McGravy gone, this is again looking like a potential first lockdown for the side of the Boston Uprising. Recall comes through. Jerry now has the high ground, but will go ahead rejoin with the rest of his comrades down on the floor, where the point still has not been taken by either side. Color Hex a little bit further ahead towards that duplicate. Jerry very much ahead in the battle for the pulse bombs, but it's all about the impact.
Astro's going to have Coalescence.
Online, uses the bomb, not going to be able to find any kills with that specifically, but still does manage to find Lastro, follows up for a second kill now onto Rain. Point has still not yet been capped, but with Jerry shooting and punching everybody in sight, they will finally be able to take it.
Nice bio-nade there from Myungbong. Prevents Lastro from healing up and getting the last like 2% of that coal I was talking about. If he gets that and survives, and suddenly this is a fight that goes even longer, potentially that Valiant could turn. Boston get the first pick. Let's see if they can use their advantages better this time. They have duplicate. They should be able to delay this massively, especially if Myungbong nanos correctly here and waits till the last second, because that's what they want to do. They want nano fusions. He's going to use it to engage. Risky choice.
Yeah, drops down. Myungbong follows up for a kill on the KSP, sniping him out of the air. Primal Rage still online, but doesn't really have to be used here. Fusions falling lower, but gets that sound barrier coming through from Halo to help keep him alive and in the fight. Color Hex has the duplicate here onto the D.Va. We'll be using that self-destruct after taking away Shax's pulse bomb. That's doing him dirty right there. With the Echo, Beam coming through, doesn't have that great of a target. Will help soften up McGravy's mech just a little bit, but they finally will pop him out. The Primal Rage, the bomb comes through. Sorry, that was Brucein getting knocked out of that one. Gets finished off, and Fusions, yeah, doesn't really have anywhere to go.
The ult usage for Boston was really poor. They only go up to 61 here, but they used everything that they really had in their wheelhouse. And they, instead of waiting and playing it passively, they engaged with Nano Boost, primaled early, had Sound Barrier out first. They used everything they could have stalled with. And instead of taking a neutral fight, then stalling and using their ult second, they used them first, which gave the Valiant just unheard of advantages in that team fight. Yeah, they traded ultimates, and sure, they have a 40% lead right now, but they could have had such a better position than they do now.
Yeah. I'm trying to hold on to the point now. KSP manages to get the duplicate off on Fusions, so double Winston's here. And he is surging for trying to get that Primal Rage. Barely gets it with a sliver of HP remaining, was bioed as well. Has that online. He's causing all kinds of panic right now amongst the members of the Boston Uprising. They'll be able to pull back, just looking for a pick-off. Doesn't have one. Brisson just going to be resetting as he goes into the pit here.
When you get that massive value with the duplicate Winston, it's like sometimes you just don't, like, if you don't, don't kill him, if you don't cancel the ult before Primal, it's like, well, you might as well just stop shooting at him now. Even if you do kill him in Primal, he's just going to go right back to Echo. So unfortunate. That's a lost fight. And now Valiant take the lead here. They've got Coalescence. Boston needs to play this slow, wait for those support ultimates before they go in. Play a lot more carefully than they did in that last fight. Play reactionarily.
5 ults. About to be online with Fusions trying to catch up. The Nano Boost will certainly help with that. Color Hex finds one. Beaming down KSP. Shax and Dreamer both taking a beating as he tries to get that Primal up, but it was just 6% shy as he does fall. 90% about to be on the board here for the side of the Valiant, but fighting back is the Boston Uprising, and they're looking for the flip, but it seems like they may have found it. Shax's going to have to try and exit back over towards the spawn. Color Hex's duplicate will expire. Boston are back in control of the point before the Valiant can make it to 99.
And not to be a negative Nancy, but I mean, look at the Valiant, how little they used comparatively and how much time they bought. They come in at 97% here with a Sound Barrier, a Bomb, they have Primal Rage. There's so many ways that this can go well for them, whereas Boston had to use so much because they played aggressively. They don't have those defensive ults to hold that last 20% of this point.
Dreamer coming around on the flank, the Primal Rage. First out from Fusion, Streamer holding on to his. Sound Barrier shield's going to be expiring. 90% on the board for the Boston Uprising as Fusions goes back up to the high ground, gets that HP back as the ult does expire. Self-destruct going to be tossed in. McGravy looking for a pick, unable to find one. Bionades on the Dreamer off screen, and he will get finished off. The Youngbong finding that kill. In the chaos, however, they have not made it to the point. Oh man, I saw it happening. Time slowed down. And I said, no, surely not like this. But indeed, that is how things transpired. They do not touch, they do not force the OT.
It was going to be a lost fight, very likely, regardless, because of the ult advantage that the Valiant had, but it was almost a C9, let's say. I mean, regardless...
Where's Dogman? Get Dogman in here.
That's a Dogman C9 for sure. I mean, regardless... You know, everything that the Boston Uprising are doing in terms of their ults is so telegraphed. Like, I'm watching, like, Winston getting ulted before he jumps. You want to... The Nano Boost should go off while Winston is, like, about to hit the ground, you know what I'm saying? And obviously, in some circumstances, that can't happen, but it feels like Myunbong is nanoing Fusions, and then he's like, well, I guess it's time to go, and then he jumps in, and then the Sound Barrier comes in early, and suddenly you're like, if you're a Valiant, you just avoid the engagement, and then you're like, well, now I can use my Sound Barrier and actually fight you, and now I have shields and you don't have shields. Using your support ultimate second is often really important, especially on control, and I felt like Boston was just super telegraphed with everything they were doing, and I'm sounding really critical right now, but I haven't cast Boston in a while, and it's there are some small mistakes that need to be pointed out. There were great moments. I feel like Boston's, their initial fights were really smart. They were very careful. But when it came to, like, once the ults come online, everything falls apart. And the Valiant looked really dominant for the rest of those, both rounds. You know, outside of the first fight, they had total control. Yeah, well, that's map 1 out of the way. Oasis going over to the LA Valiant. We'll see how Boston fares and whether they can tie us up, give us a 1-1 scoreline when we come back for the break for map number 2.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by ZipChair Gaming, the official chair supplier of the Overwatch League.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are one map into this series between the Valiant and the Uprising. Valiant able to take map 1 of Oasis away right out from under their noses. Turns out, touching the point, good thing to do. Make the flow chart of like, if this leads to this, and then, like, yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Oh, maybe you're muted, maybe you're not. I can hear you, Wolf, but either way, yes, in case you're muted, I'm going to talk about the next map coming up, because we'll go ahead and take a look, and it's going to be Escort, and it is Junkertown again. Saw this in not our previous series, but the one before that, as it is a rather long day of Overwatch. We got 4 matches. I guess we're back to classic Overwatch days when we were in Bala in Los Angeles. As far as that many matches is concerned, but yeah, Junkertown getting ready to come out. Welcome back. Just just in case you were gone. If you weren't gone, then I'm glad that you're still here.
Cool.
But Junkertown getting ready to come up, Wolf, and this is still an opportunity for the Echo to be used, especially around Point A. There's a lot of sky space.
Yeah, this is a good map for Echo. It's also a really good map for Widowmaker. Color Hex can bring that one out. I would love to see that duel. KSP versus Color Hex on that one would be really fun to see. Because we're seeing so much dive, though, so much Tracer, Sombra, I don't know if that'll end up being the dominant force, especially once you get past A, but I think we'll see a little bit of it. And Color Hex is a really good Widowmaker player. Oftentimes his team gets overwhelmed sometimes by Winstons, or he ends up having problems with the front lines with the shields and stuff like that, so he doesn't always look like a good Widow. But anyone who's watched Color Hex, on his stream, or has watched his first-person views, or some of the great highlights from last year, knows that it's one of his best heroes. It's one of Boston's greatest strengths. So, fingers crossed, hopefully here for them, at least at the early part of the map.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Color Hex had a similar trajectory last year, I would say, to Corey, at least at the beginning. Was forced onto a hero that he wasn't particularly that well-versed with, and the team cohesion wasn't quite there. But then once the Widowmaker came out, started looking incredible.
Yeah, that's a really good comparison.
Similar to Corey in that regard. And when he can get on those picks, when he can get into that mindset and start popping off, then it truly is wildly impressive what he can get done in a game. Question is, can he get there today? Can he get there right now as we move into Junkertown? And,
yeah, you're making
we see
you're
Widow
making
in
me
general.
remember all the Widows who had struggles on Zarya, Carpe soon. The list goes on.
There was a lot.
Yeah, but KSP starts off on Widow here, so they have the very real intention of keeping it long-term here on A. So that means that Color Hex will not swap after he sees this. He's going to have to challenge. Boston on the attack first means that a rare choice, by the way, after a loss to pick attack first. He's going to have to try for some flank angles. There's a lot of mind games that go into this Widow battle. Usually you see the left side flank taken first. For the attacking Widow. KSP reveals himself.
Okay.
With the kill.
Oh, goodbye. Sends Jerry into the Shadow Realm, but Shax will be put there as well.
Very wide angle shot we have here showing that Boston is not going to try to poke Color Hex out because there's no other pressure until Jerry is back. And Jerry can obviously help break the shield. Color Hex trying to look for another angle here onto McGravy, but not going to happen. The pressure is real.
Just trying to see if anybody was hovering into that health pack room.
Boston's gotten a lot of distance here.
Though.
Like with the pressure they're putting through and how much, how aggressive Brusen is being. Like, this is actually a solid start.
Yeah, this is where things could get a little bit more difficult for them, though. They have that shield advantage, but now Myungbong going to get picked off. Shax with a headshot removes the enemy's Zenyatta. Immortality Field will buy them a little bit more time, but as that falls, Halo, Jerry, now Brusen will all be taken out. Brusen taking himself out, it would seem.
Ooh, the Halt saying, nope, no grapple for you. The tactical crouch to, put the cherry on top there.
It's getting those squats in,
Yeah, getting the squats in, indeed. Gotta keep
build
those,
up,
keep those, gears, those gear joints,
yeah.
nice and strong. I gotta say though, I like how Valiant just was willing to give up a lot of distance and then play around Shax's shield break and not play the flank Widow game versus ColorHex. It's actually respect from KSP versus ColorHex here, just saying, you know, I'm not going to challenge you in the poke war. I'm just going to look for headshots after the barrier's down, playing super far back.
Really good pull around the corner there from Fusions. Almost gets the pick off on a rain. Flux will come through from McGravy. Takes a lot of damage as the Discorder flies out from Myungbong. Shax will fall to Halo. Jerry nearly taken out to equalize an exchange on those Hanzos. The cart's starting to roll, and yeah, Dreamer, you can tell, displaced, not really sure where he's supposed to be. ColorHex finds a nice pick. It's again going to be a 1-for-1 as both Zenyatta's will be taken out of the fight. Fusions gets right up into Dreamer's face, drops that supercharger. Dragon Strike rolling through, gets him away from the cart for a little bit longer. KSP finds the shot onto Brusen. Fusions will fall in the end to Shax, so seems like they can potentially hold this off as Dreamer is now going to be getting ready to come back.
This is an insane potential hold here. Laster takes out Jerry, and that's going to complete it. KSP did a
messy fight.
KSP did a whole 360. He orbited the Boston Uprising. He went from behind them to the side of them to behind them in a full rotation. And he was protected by McGravy and, you know, for partially a part of that, Dreamer as well, to get that rotation around the Boston Uprising, and they never dealt with him. That was beautiful play from Los Angeles Valiant.
All together looking for the shot. Oh, ColorHex, 1% HP remaining, almost taken down. A little bit of extra charge there from KSP, and he would have been
and now look at ColorHex. He is trying to look for KSP, and that's when you know, oh, and he's taken out. That's when you know the Widow duel is over in this meta in double shields. If you're trying to shoot the other Widow, you're messing up.
Yeah, trying to find that angle, just unable to do so. Brusen using that Gravitic Flux will get cut down, and here we are. 5 members dead on the side of the Boston Uprising. Let's make it 6. With 7 seconds remaining, Fusion's going to be swapping over onto the Wrecking Ball to try to make his way back over to the cart, but instantly gets greeted by an accretion, by a Flux, and that will be a full hold here on point A by the LA Valiant.
The ColorHex
was a good start. They got so much distance at the beginning, but it was that last choke parting through those two buildings, and Boston just could not engineer a push from there.
No, I mean, like, I liked how Boston was playing at the beginning. ColorHex didn't, try anything crazy. They just played around the Hangzhou duel. Valiant played passive, so they got free distance. And then when they came around the corner the first time, Valiant crushed them there. But then they reset, and KSP just stayed back. He never tried to kill ColorHex outright. He killed ColorHex when ColorHex overstepped, or tried to go for a flank, or tried to go for a big grapple. But overall, KSP just said, okay, when Shax breaks the barrier, that's when I can shoot Orisa's head. That's when I can shoot, Brusen on the Sigma's on the head. I can threaten Myungbong. I can threaten Jerry. And, in those moments, it's not a Widow 1v1 anymore. It's just KSP killing people when he has the opportunity. But then ColorHex got desperate. His team wasn't winning the shield battle. And then ColorHex said, well, if I can't kill KSP while he's looking elsewhere, then we're doomed, so I've got to try to flank him. I've got to try to find these headshots. This happens on Junkertown all the time, especially, when we had Sigma Orisa as the main meta before hero pools last year. But when you get into that mentality, you're always alone, you're always exposed, and KSP then just crushed him in those 1v1 moments every time. This looks like this might be an easy finish for the Valiant to take a 2-0 lead if things don't change. I don't know if they will, to be honest with you.
Well, ColorHex looking for that first shot, does get a tag onto McGravy. KSP over the top. Just a shot onto Fusions. So will be a slow and steady start, but you can just see how much room Boston feels like they have to give to the Valiant. And it's already, more than halfway to the finish line.
Yeah. ColorHex looking for a flank, though. If he can get it, it'll be worth the risk.
Nice accretion, manages to tag onto 2, jump up over the top. KSP hiding his head as best as possible. Make sure he doesn't get shot in return. Jerry pulled in, chunked down below half HP, but the immortality field there does help keep the members of the Uprising alive for a little bit longer. The cart still has not been stopped. Will stop now.
Shax
the Valiant player's own volition, but Shax is just, he kills 2. He's looking for a 3rd. He's right up on top of Fusions. We'll finish him off with the help of Lastro, and that's just going to be the glide through. He gives a wave. Says, Sayonara, guys. I'll see you on the other side of halftime, because it is now a 2-0 lead for the LA Valiant.
I mean, in the defense of Boston Uprising, something that people usually don't say, in the defense of Boston
Something
Uprising,
that the Boston Uprising don't have.
Sure. Not in this case. I mean, when you lose the duel with the shield break, and which is what happened, Shaxx just broke better shields and got opportunities to use storm arrows and fill the kill feed. It does end up being like a one single team fight, one wipe of the kill feed when the cart only has to go so far that you need to win the map. It was razor thin with a really good hold we had from Valiant, and all they needed to do was win that one crushing fight. And that's exactly what happened. Jerry got outplayed by Shaxx, which leads to the better shield break, which leads to KSP clicking people on the head. And that's kind of all she wrote there for that second map. I mean, this series might be all but done here, to be honest with you guys at home. Boston really going to have to bounce back after halftime.
Yeah, looking extremely brutal so far. I mean, it was a fairly close start for Oasis. You know, even barring and ignoring the part where they didn't step onto the point, it was still, they were still trading back and forth and looking pretty good overall in some of those team fights, especially the neutral ones. But here, just a complete unraveling of the Boston Uprising on Junkertown. So now, one more chance realistically to try to make this a series, to try and, you know, now pull off a reverse sweep. Historically, Boston has been the organization that is the king of reverse sweeps. But I just don't see it happening here. Maybe I'll be proven wrong. I am happy to eat my words. But we're going to find out about that one on the other side of halftime, so we'll see you guys in just a bit.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, helping you stay connected to what matters most. Learn about T-Mobile's COVID-19 response on T-Mobile.com. And by State Farm. For auto, home, or renter's insurance, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Welcome one and all to our game break presented by Cheese Grooves. I am Zoe and joining me are Costa and Reinforce, and the Valiant are unsurprisingly up 2-0. Let's discuss the match. Fine, gentlemen.
Yeah.
I know you've been waiting for this one all day, and now it finally came, so let's talk about it.
I just want them.
To be fair, though, I think on map 1, we did see some signs of life from Boston. We saw some sparkles, some glimmers, some hope.
Yeah, a little bit. I just want Wolf to join us for this game break, honestly, and just let him rant. I just want him to be here and discuss with us. But yeah,
Angry Wolf is my favorite.
it is pretty entertaining.
I just want to be known.
Yeah, and very educational too. But yeah, there was some signs of life. But it was pretty interesting to see the Valiant come out with a Zarya dive composition. Like, it's so fast-paced. And it's quite ironic because it's what Atlanta Reign played last week, and Valiant reverse swept them, and then they came out with the Zarya to begin with. So I quite like that. You know, I know it wasn't because of Atlanta, but there was some small irony in that. So I enjoyed that. But yeah, I mean, on the second map, Valiant were just completely dominant, and
they were speedrunning it.
I mean, this could be the fastest match in the Overwatch League if map 3 is fast too. Like,
are we breaking records today? Is that what you're saying?
I mean,
we might. We have to break it down though, because this is first to 3, right? So someone has to do the math behind it, how this, like, percentage-wise would stack up with the matches we used to have to really make the claim of it being the fastest. But, you know, I trust Ben and Matt, our stats gurus, to run the numbers for us.
Crunching the numbers. It's
crunching them.
It's been interesting because Boston, like, especially when we think about the first round that we saw, it's kind of, they're playing the double shield, May McCree, and they're walking as 6 people into a room, and then they just get dove on and they die. And it's just like, this is what people did like 2 years ago. Like, this kind of style of playing as like a 6-man death ball and all running a room against dive just sort of doesn't exist anymore. You see so many more flanks, so much more like style and so much more strategy around it. And it just feels like Boston is sort of stuck in this loop that they're not. It doesn't seem like they're improving at all. And we saw this especially in the second map. I don't know if they've lost confidence, lost anything, but on Valiant's attack, Boston just didn't do anything. Valiant are literally
I honestly
sitting
think
on
that the confidence is 100% not there. If you only watched Collar Hex going up against the Widowmaker of the Valiant side, KSP, KSF. Thank you.
This time.
Names.
KSA.
It's P this time. Can someone please clip that one? Thank you. No, but like, you saw he was scared.
Yeah.
And that goes for a lot of the players from Boston Uprising. Like, they are scared. So yeah, them walking into a room all together, maybe they feel like it's safety in numbers.
Yeah.
Maybe we're going back to that one. However, we do have a crunch time. Yeah, someone crunched in this game, or maybe someone didn't crunch. We'll find out in just a few seconds as you guys are running us through our crunch time presented by Cheesy Grooves. What crunched or what was soggy?
Yeah, I think we highlighted this one here. It's KSP, rookie coming in this season. Everyone that I've talked to who's ever played against KSP or with KSP has said he's actually insane, and we're starting to see glimmers of it. We saw it in his Ashe last weekend. It was just, he just doesn't seem to miss. If I didn't, know he was playing on an Overwatch League stage, I thought I would think he was hacking. But he just is so clean, just hitting everything. And you, as we talked about, you saw how scared of KSP Color Hex is. He's literally not even peeking until he sees KSP look away. He's like using his taunt behind walls and all that kind of stuff. So you got to give props to him. It was impressive play, and teams are going to start being more aware of KSP, because if we go to a Widow meta, Valiant are going to be scary.
yeah, it honestly reminds me a little bit of about Pine. Honestly, like, when I watched this footage, it reminds me of Pine because he has that crisp aim, and you can just—it's incredible to watch. So, really entertaining so far to watch KSP this season. He has been stellar for sure.
Yeah, right. So then the next map will be King's Row. Anything you want to see coming out from the Boston Uprising? Do you feel like there is anything they really can do to bring this one back in the second half?
Well, I mean, if you want to play May and a bit slower, then maybe King's Row is the map to do that. Junkertown, as we just saw, allows for a lot of Widowmaker, and without a doubt, Valiant had the advantage when it came to the Widowmaker matchup. So when you're going into King's Row, less room to work with, and maybe if you want to play this kind of death ball composition that the Boston Uprising are doing, King's Row probably should be the map. So, yeah, good luck.
I have general advice. You guys need to play more confident. As a whole team, you need to play more confident. You need to be willing to take risks, because if you never take risks, you're never going to get anywhere. It feels like nobody's willing to make that first step, make a misstep, or make a play. If you just keep walking in and trying to go through the motions, they're just going to keep losing. They can't match up mechanically against these other teams, so they need to do something different.
And that was pretty much how Wolf also summed up the Houston Outlaws.
Yeah.
That it is good that they are taking those risks and bringing in those different players on different roles, or just throwing something out there, because you have to do something at one point. So let's see what the Boston Uprising have in store for us in that second half of that last match of the day. And for all the action, we once more heading back over to Seth and Wolf.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Cheez-It Grooves. Deep flavor, deep crunch. It's a mind crunch.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are currently at match point here in the last series of the evening. Boston Uprising now need to pull off a reverse sweep if they want to find victory over the LA Valiant, who are poised to take it all.
Yeah, I mean, look, a lot of people are giving Boston flack for that last map because it was so short, but, I mean, if you get held on A on Junkertown, it's one of the fastest maps you can take it with a single team fight or a single push. You know, your tanks get outclassed. It happens that fast. It looks like Boston didn't even do anything, right, if you just watch the kill feed, but that's not true. It was closer than it looked, but yes, it was a full hold, and yes, with one single push, they were able to get through. The shield break was way better on the side of the LA Valiant. Unfortunately, Boston and Jerry just couldn't make it happen. KSP looked amazing when he had those opportunities to hit the headshots. He hit them every single time. And it looks rough. If you're a Boston fan, you know, props to you for hanging in this 1-9 season so far, one map away from a 110 here. And, you know, it's tough to be dominated by good teams, but when you're being dominated by kind of a middle-of-the-pack team like the Valiant is right now, it feels even worse, I think, sometimes. But there's always a chance they bounce back. There's always that chance.
Yep.
That's why we play, you know, first to 3 maps, and they're only 2 down, so there's always the hope. If you're a Boston fan, you're always hoping. You're always praying.
So you're saying there's a chance?
I'm saying there's a chance.
There is. We almost, you know, as we take a look at the map set, we're going to Kings Row. We almost saw Houston able to bring back a map victory on Kings Row. Maybe that can happen here now for the Boston Uprising. I mean, it needs to happen here for the Boston Uprising. Otherwise, you're going to be looking at that 1-10 record, which is not where you want to be at all.
It's not where you want to be.
It's time to get entrenched here in this series for Boston. It is time to you know, to pick up a map win and then just hope that you have that momentum behind you and can keep that ball rolling and try to get another series victory under their belt. So fingers crossed for the Boston fans. See if they can pull that one off as we get ready to move forward here and see, you know, what these teams are going to be playing for us. We got a little bit of Widowmaker action there, the back and forth on Junkertown. Don't think we're going to be seeing it too much on Kings Row, even though historically, especially Point A, very good map for the Widowmaker. But there's, you know, if they want to play with the Hangzhou a bit more like we saw in Junkertown, then maybe the Widow will accompany it.
Just to point something else out, the loser does pick attack or defend. That's been like a rule of Overwatch pretty much since the beginning, since like the old Apex days. And it's extremely rare to have a team pick attack after a loss. Boston's done it now twice in a row. And that can lead to extremely short map times. If you do fail your first attack, it does kind of lead to, obviously, the other team catching up to where you are very quickly, especially if you get full held. Otherwise, for example, on the other side, Valiant could have pushed all the way to the end of Junkertown, and then we would just see that full hold there. So, just something to think about as to why some of these map times are shorter than normal. Kind of a rare choice. Interesting for Boston to pick that.
Oh, looks like we will have Jerry on the Hangzhou for now. Oh, he has not noticed Dreamer, and Dreamer has not given his position away. Sneaky monkey. Sneaky scientist, sorry. I think he's still unnoticed. Look at this.
Yeah, they don't know. Oh my god, this is actually insane.
Oh,
this is like Panker level of like mind games. Panker, OGN Apex.
Okay, they finally found him. They finally found him.
Okay.
Great restraint there from Dreamer. If this was solo queue, you know, he would have zapped the very frame that Jerry's Hangzhou like character model came around the corner, and he would have given it all away. But he doesn't gain much for his sneaky play.
Color X. That's a good pick.
Color X, yeah, finds multiple tri-shots in a row into the beam. Melts down KSP. Shax, however, goes into the back line, manages to find Myungbong. Dreamer going to be eliminated. So big potential now for Boston as McGravy is left out alone and will fall.
Okay,
pushing
they're
forward,
on the point.
They make their way onto the point. Bionade connects on the 2, but Jerry's going to be fine. Wraps his way back inside the hotel as Halo keeps everybody topped up and nearly has that amp matrix ready to roll.
Shax will
One
touch
tick gain,
here.
second on the way.
You would think.
Yep, they start contesting. Sleep Dart not going to hit. Looking for the shot, but Jerry's the one who comes up with it. Stick coming through. Shax will find Halo. A bloodbath of a battle right now as it's a 3-for-3. Shax falling low, gets caught up on the car. Bruceson will finish him off. Continuing the tick up now here on point A. With McGravy still not mech'd. Manages to pistol down Jerry, but can't do anything to stop the point from being capped. So Boston Uprising will be able to find it. 4 minutes, 40 seconds. Now ticking down as the card comes out.
Revenge of Color Hex, he gets a sick mechanical outplay on the KSP. Hits him there for a lot of damage and is able to just beam him down there. Once he's below half health, this KSP has no chance. He has no way to escape. Even though Echo has high mobility in terms of, you know, verticality, not very fast at escaping, so just kind of doomed there. You can't outrun the same hero. They have the same movement speed, so does end up falling there, and that really opened things up.
Dragon Strength rolling through. Not going to be finding too many members on the side of the Valiant, but McGravy knocked out. Managed to find that D-suit, but everybody clumped up here for Dreamer. Both supports going to be falling as he just zaps away. Primal Rage at the ready, just looking for those kills, looking to buy some time. And this is going to be that choke control now established for the Valiant. This is where things can get very scary for the Boston Uprising.
This is the moment where, you know, you feel really choked as Uprising, because you're like, okay, we took A, but did we really take A? You know, like, we still have to fight this choke point. It feels like we are standing still, and the Valiant can control that choke. They're actually playing super far back, interestingly enough. I
think because they don't have the May, they decide to just give some ground up and then try to fight them perhaps at the corner.
Yeah, I mean, it gives a lot more space to KSP. He's going to go ahead and clone.
Yeah, it also allows them to have that high ground control and ensure that Jerry can't get around the backside and have that for himself. KSP going to be demeched with that duplicate. Color Hex in the meantime has built up a Primal Rage and is smacking some people, but doesn't lead to too many kills. A lot of displacement coming in, however, and Boston have opened up a lot of space for them to continue advancing up the street now.
Yeah.
As Jerry wraps around this left-hand side, looks for a couple shots there onto Lastro.
McGravy not able to escape, and this is basically a free B push. I don't know if I agree with Valiant's decision to play back there so far and then look for what was essentially a duplicate D.Va engage to try to set up for a Shaxx Pulse. That's extremely complicated. Did not work out.
And boost onto Dreamer as he fiercely pushes forward, falling low, however, will leap back. Sound barrier comes through. Shielding going to be expiring now as the bomb goes into the back from Brisson. Manages to find the pick onto KSP. 1.5 meters left to go now for Boston to roll into point B. It would still be a pretty respectable time bank for them to try and finish the map. Bomb to the back from McGravy does get Jerry, but is that going to be enough for them to try and hold this off? It's a lot of damage taken out of the fight. And a very long run back for the McCree, but they need a bit more than that if they want to establish control over this card. KSP now rejoining, taking those try shots, trying to break down the barriers, but is unable to do so. And point B will be snatched up for the Boston Uprising, now with 3 minutes 15 seconds.
I mean, they just keep getting small advantages, and the Valiant are not respecting them. Now we're going to see a pretty puzzling swap over to Zarya as well here from McGravy. It's not a terrible pick by any means. I mean, it's obviously quite strong here on C, but Boston Uprising could just out-poke him here. Jerry's going to swap over to McCree, and they're outranged. If they get poked down or chunked down here with no shield tank, they're going to have a big problem holding on to this C point.
It seems like they want to go for the Zarya to try to get rid of Brisson, you know, get rid of his mech because he's been doing rather well on that D.Va. Coalescence rolling, Halo going to be bionated, but he's escaped. Back to safety as Shaxx very fearlessly pokes around the corner onto an awaiting Jerry. Pulse Bomb going to be coming through, manages to find the kill on a Color Hex. Halo gets Goomba stopped, and Shaxx will pick up 3, looking for a little bit more here on the back end of that fight.
Shaxx is like, look, we've taken some losses this season. We're 3-6. I got to go up the Tracer ranks. Can you guys just, like, throw a little bit and let me get these Pulse Bomb kills? Can you just play slow? Now I'm going to come in the side. They had a sleep on Jerry at the beginning of the fight. He got up, he escaped. Then, you know, he used his flashbang earlier. Cool bait from Shaxx, and then the Pulse comes out. Really sick Tracer plays.
Nano in, that's the go button as they push forward. And Nano alone forces the sound barrier from Halo. We'll see if that's going to be costly for them in the long run. But for now, Myungbong does manage to find a kill on McGravy. Color Hex, duplicate onto the Zarya, now has a Graviton Surge ready to roll. He's looking for some targets, will lob that one in, but it's going to be a bit of a whiff. He'll give a wave, but the cart will continue to push forward.
I mean, they're really, you got to respect Jerry's McCree. They've been hunting him down, but they haven't been killing him consistently, and that makes it really tough for KSP to actually do consistent damage. And look at the flank. Jerry's crazy.
Working his way into the back, flashbang in, headshots down onto Shaxx. Pulls back around.
Defensive bomb is good.
And the shield there, yeah, trying to defend. Will zone them back, and they are nearly rolled through with a minute plus remaining in the time bank. Primal Rage out, but does not matter. Jerry has the full wind-up coming through on that Deadeye. Gets the kill on the Dreamer. Person going to be demeched. A lot of mitigation now gone for the side of Boston. The Supercharger does not last very long. McGravy trying to stay alive down below half HP and get that next grab online.
Shaxx now.
He will be able to do so, as it will just be the recall, or the retreat rather, coming through for Boston.
Yeah, Valiant, you know, I mean, they were falling it back. Things were really good for Boston Uprising there, though. The Deadeye was really well focused there on the delay They also had that flanking kill. Jerry was able to kill Shax. The most valuable kill you can get when you're trying to finish a map is the Tracer. Is going to be annoying. Stall, has recall. It's a great target selection there, but not able to cross the finish line. At the end of the day, just the tank line getting outclassed. Again, Brusen struggling. McGravy on the Zarya. It's a really nice tank to have to stall.
KSP going for the duplicate. Takes the McCree. Already Deadeye available. Just a couple headshots, but will get forced out. Time dwindling away. They will be able to force the overtime, but Bionade locked in with the help of that Graviton Surge. 100 energy here for McGrave. He starts melting people left, right, and center. Dreamer will manage to find 2 with the Wrecking Ball, and it seems like this is about as far as it's going to go for the Boston Uprising. The cleanup is there. Halo, the last one left alive, doesn't have the sound barrier, can't close the distance, so stopped before the finish, but still a strong run for the Boston Uprising to make it this far in Kings Row.
Yeah, I mean, that's honestly more than I think most Boston fans watching this were hoping for, is to have a great run like that, almost to the finish line. Some good moments for Jerry. The flank was really cool to see. Could have been even more effective, actually, but he decided not to go like full greed and just saw that secure kill he could get onto the Tracer. If he was able to, you know, stay around a little bit longer, just take a few shots and get like a backline Deadeye. Even if he gets killed, there's so much that you can force with that. It was also really fun to see KSP, who's a great McCree player in his own right, become McCree in a place that McCree's not normally supposed to reach. His clone was killed immediately. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see that fun Echo McCree clone duplicate action up there. It's hard to talk about Echo sometimes. It gets really tricky. But, I mean, look, McGravy's Zarya swap, it was a fairly risky one, but it paid off. He was able to get 100 energy when that Grav came up at the last moment. And, you know, Boston Uprising really struggled to continue to get value with the McCree. It's going to be Jerry on the Hanzo to start here on the defense, though. See if he can find a little bit more success than he did on Junkertown with that hero. The lack of a McCree here, though, when KSP is going to be now the vulnerable Echo on attack is a little bit puzzling. And I feel like the McCree would be a solid choice here, especially for Jerry, but he wants the Hanzo, he wants the extra shield break.
Well, let's see how the defense is going to be. Moving their way forward, no real adjustments here for the Valiant. Still going to have McGravy on that Zarya, and he's still going to be taking a lot of damage off the bat. Makes his way in behind the statue now. Strafing back and forth, lobbing in those right clicks, trying to build up as best as he can. In the meantime, very deep in right now is Dreamer. Shax joins him, however, and Jerry is the first one to fall. Now the rest of the team pushes forward, has point control. First tick getting ready to come through, and it seems like, yeah, this is just going to be the steamroll coming in for the LA Valiant. Slight little delays coming in, but it's just cleanup time.
Yeah, it won't be as easy to do this once we get into the streets phase, but in an open area like this, when KSP has free reign on Echo, can float up, he can go into the sky, there's no McCree to challenge him, there's no hit scan, there's not even, you know, an Ana on the other side. You feel very free to do chunk damage, and then when Shax also has freedom to move that duo of getting members half health, you know, you can beam them down, then Shax can come in and finish them off. It's insanely powerful, and unfortunately Jerry's Hanzo pick didn't work out. He swapped over the Tracer now, so same composition in terms of the DPS, but they're going to have to play a lot more passively with this Orisa pick, whereas the Valiant are free to push forward and look for that extra energy for the Zarya. They're going to be playing more aggressively.
Coalescence out, Myungpong pushing forward, Nano Boost there onto Dreamer, but the rest of the team crumbling around him. And good awareness from Dreamer, does just go ahead, lets himself fall, doesn't pop that primal range, so they don't over-invest in a lost fight. And now can just come back through with nearly 5 ults ready to go.
I think that a good duplicate clone for this next fight could potentially be McGravy. I think they could go look for the Zarya pick here and try to really take that hard up in the face type of fight with Fusions getting the supercharger. That's certainly a way to get a fast grab and control this fight in the choke. He's 5% away. Let's see what he decides to pick, because that's going to probably decide the outcome of this fight, is how effective that Color Hex duplicate is. KSP's got his own.
All right, now Shax trying to assassinate him. Cannot finish him off in time, however. KSP going to be taking the Orisa, looking for that additional supercharger. Myungpong going to be Goomba stopped by Dreamer. And Color Hex likely just going to have to hold on to that duplicate. Yeah, forced to now, as Shaxx will kill him off. So this will be the push forward into point B for the LA Valiant.
Yeah, I mean,
bump their time up even more.
They keep their ultimates, Boston does, but I mean, we're looking at a massive time bank now, 5 minutes plus for the Valiant, 5:10-ish, that they have to finish this map, and B is one of the best places you can hold. I think they should have taken their shot there, gone for the ultimates. They were slow. McGravy still has Grav. Boston need to be decisive right now.
Yeah, dueling back and forth. Jerry nearly finished off. Uses the pulse bomb, will not find a kill.
Color copies the Zarya, but he's grabbed himself.
Oh yeah, he's dangerously low. Pulse bomb will go ahead and take him out of that duplicate before he can get the grab online. So loses out on that ultimate. Fairly neutral exchange so far as the cart is trying to inch forward. And Fusion's and Brisson playing up though. Keeping that one halted as Dreamer jumps his way into the back, drops the bubble to keep himself alive, and just continues to zap away, trying to get that Primal Rage ready to roll. Just 16% more. Cart gets a little bit of free space now as it gets ready to round that final corner. Jump in, Fusion's going to be taken down. KSP manages to find him with a beam. Shaxx will get rid of Color Hex. Brisson now going to be knocked out. 3 members gone on the side of the Boston Uprising, and this is looking very dire for Boston. 4 minutes shy. Rolling their way up. Can somebody stop this? Color Hex has swapped over onto the window, but it needs somebody to touch the cart. Jerry finally makes his way through, but gets melted down. 2 meters left to go now. 1.39 pulse bomb out from Shaxx. Not going to be able to find anything. Turns back around. Will get rid of Brisson. Now it's just Myungbong, and that is going to be the team wipe. And that will be the push through the finish on the series. LA Valiant will be able to take this one over Boston Uprising with a 3-0.
I think there was just some lack of commitment there on the defense for Boston Uprising, and I wonder if that's a shot calling issue or if that's, I mean, I don't know how else to describe it. I mean, it must be a shot calling issue, right? Color X has the opportunity to clone McGravy in the previous fight where McGravy's not high energy with a grab available. I mean, he had grab, but he wasn't in a good place to use it. They waited till the last second. Then Color X clones in that fight where it's already looking like it's going to be a lost one, that he's trapped in the grab, can't get value. When you talk about individual mechanics, again, Boston Uprising, one of those teams where you look at Jerry and you think, okay, this guy's really smart. He looks like a solo queue god. He's flanking on his own. He's finding these great opportunities. You could see what Color Hex is capable of. You could see what Myungbong is capable of. You and I have obviously cast him for a long time in Korea. We know what what his potential is, but when you look at the ults, when you look at the top of the UI of the screen, you think, okay, Boston should win this fight, or they should be able to engage in such a way that gives them a slight advantage. And somehow it just doesn't happen. And
yeah,
I don't know if they're able to identify their advantages correctly, or if it's a shot calling problem, or multiple issues. But it's like it's so frustrating to see how close they are to greatness in one team fights, especially when they have a great push on A or A to C really on King's Row, and then the defense just totally falls apart.
Yeah, I mean we saw one of those scenarios on Oasis right off the bat, that first round of University. 6 ultimates going forward for Boston, I think 2 or 3 for the Valiant, and they just couldn't pull it off. So I agree. It seems like maybe they don't know necessarily what their win conditions are, or they don't know how to navigate their way to achieving those win conditions, and things just kind of fall apart for them along the way. Either way, rough tidings for the Boston Uprising. Try to keep your heads held high and keep working on it as we move deeper into the season, but rough stuff for them. For the Valiant, continuing to look strong, looked very good last week. We weren't sure what to expect for them, how much echo play we were going to see from them. Turns out we saw quite a bit.
Yeah. I mean, the echo play was really good overall, too, for the Valiant, and I think that they like to, when they're in a match like this where they're ahead, I think this team is a team of really funny and great personalities who like to kind of tease the meta a little bit, if you know what I mean. Like, they play the Zarya that a lot of other teams aren't really playing right now, just because I think McGravy really likes it and he's really good at it and they know how to use it. So, this might not be necessarily what we see from them next time we have a similar hero pool in the future from this squad, but against the Boston Uprising, it's what they decided to use. They didn't have to show, a meta composition and what their strengths and weaknesses are there. They got to kind of push what they like to play and have a little bit of fun along the way, and I think that's the right way to approach a match like the one that they just played against Boston.
Yeah. Well, taking a look at our player of the match here for today, it is going to be Shax picking up the honors this time. Was a little bit, tough to make a decision on this one. KSP certainly put up a very strong argument, especially after that Junkertown, but really just good performance from Shax overall.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's I give Shax a slight edge over KSP. He just had a really consistent performance throughout the series. I think where he really shined to me, but perhaps not to others because it was such a short map and we didn't always have his first-person view, was how much he set KSP up on Junkertown by breaking barriers, by pressuring Fusions and Brucin with the Hangzhou, and how obviously dominant and oppressive his Tracer was throughout the series just makes him an easy pick. KSP had his moments, obviously hitting those headshots when they're available. That's super amazing. That's really important. But setting those up, I think, is arguably more important.
Yep. Well, either way, very well earned by him, and well earned victory for the side of the LA Valiant, just making that one short, sweet, and to the point. Extremely concise play from them. Only a few missteps, a few disconnects in what we could assume would be a disconnect in communication between the squad, but for the most part, it seems like everybody is very much on the same page with this team. The Nano Boost comes out, Dreamer is already in the middle of his jump forward, so they're communicating extremely well when it's time to engage, when they should disengage, who's got what advantage, and how they can play around it. So I'm really excited to see the continued evolution of the LA Valiant and what other, maybe more unique comps we can expect from them moving forward, as we do have the constant maelstrom of different heroes being taken away each week.
Yeah, I feel like Valiant has shown us almost more flexibility than any team so far this season. I don't mean to say that they played the most compositions, but they've played the most unlikely compositions, I feel like,
sure,
and found success, right? I mean, obviously Chengdu's probably, in terms of how many different comps they've run, #1, but Valiant is definitely up there in terms of, like, okay, you expect them to play this one composition that's meta, that's strong, that they're good at, and they do something else, which I think makes it really difficult to prepare for this team, because they're always kind of keeping you on your toes. They're keeping you guessing, because you might think, okay, this is the meta, the opponents we have this week, they're going to play a certain way, and the Valiant plays the exact opposite. And, sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't, but I find that sort of boldness pretty exciting to see, and I think that's, overall kind of what the point of hero pools was in the first place.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's time to get some insights, Wolf. That's it for you and I for this evening. Guys, we will see you tomorrow. But coming up right now, we've got none other than Jonathan Reinforce Larson standing by with McGravy for an interview. So, Johnny the Wise, take it away.
Thank you very much, Achilleos. Yeah, that's right. Johnny the Wise here to interview McGravy. A very pumped up Caleb. Quick, easy 3-0 win. Any reaction to that match?
Just how we expected it to go. I mean, Boston is Boston, so we just made sure we played to our game, played the comps we'd always play, and
wow, way to put it.
Stuck to our game, and we were fine.
Yeah. Well, actually quite interesting. We dropped in on the TeamSpeak channel as Wolf and Achilleos were talking about it. You showed a bit of a different look today. You were playing a bit more Winston dive when we've typically seen you play more Ashe compositions in the past. How was that adaptation for you as a team to play more dive compositions?
I think we're a really flexible team, but we've had a rough week of scrims, but I think that's almost good in a sense. So we're a team that's not afraid to argue and figure out what's going wrong and what's going right. So it's been a tough week, but I think we've adapted really well to playing Zarya, especially. I think that's big with our type of dive.
Yeah, a bit of a different look because most teams play the D.Va, but you opted for the Zarya. Is there any big reason behind that?
We had been struggling against a little bit against the teams that are playing the Summer Dive, which you saw a lot of earlier today, and we figured it was a good adaptation versus that comp. And it's also just well-rounded. It's really easy to bubble your Winston and get him in, get value, and get high energy. So we thought it was good all around.
Yeah. So Valiant is one of the teams, I would say anyway, that we get a lot of insight into how the team sort of works with the coaching and the players, etc. Can you talk a little bit about the process between you and your coaches this week as you tried to figure it out? Was it mostly the players who decided to play dive, or did Packing 10 have a lot of insight as to what compositions you were going to play?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think we just wanted to play to our strengths. We have Shax on our team, and Shax is probably one of the best Tracers in the game. So we're like, if we can run Tracer, we want to run Tracer. And we're like, well, let's go with Tracer. This week, probably a lot of dive. So we just did the steps, and we just ran with it, and whatever teams players felt confident with, we just decided, hey, like, if you're confident in it, just let it rip.
Sounds good. Well, you're now 2-0 in the May tournament format and looking at all the teams participating, is there any team in particular that you, the Valiant, want to beat in this May tournament?
We want to play the Atlantic region, so I think the top Atlantic region team is right now is Fusion. We'd like to see how we back up against them, so that's the team to beat right now.
Yeah, quite spicy. Well, before I let you go, I gotta ask, has Halsey followed you back on Twitter yet?
Unfortunately, not, but the quote tweet will do. Listen, we don't get greedy. We're not greedy around here. We take
True.
what we can get and we run with it, right?
True. What hero are you going to cosplay next? I will say that Zoe actually did want you to cosplay as Widowmaker. Is that something we can see happen?
Maybe I just pull up the toes. You know, just bring up the feet game, play a little Sigma here and there, and maybe a Sigma cosplay. You never know.
Yeah. Well, it would fit the off-tank role, but yeah, to each their own. Anyway, thank you so much, Caleb, for joining me here on the post-game interview. And coming up next, we got the Watchpoint Pulse Show coming up, where me, Kosta, and Zoe will be talking all about the matches that went on today. It was a long day with 4 big matches. So once again, thank you, McGravy, for joining me. And coming up next is the Watchpoint Pulse Show.